The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart, Book 2, The Hawk, 7. Once outside, it was not as dark as it had seemed, and it was warm, one of those heavy dull days fraught with mist, and a small rain that lay on the heavy wool of our cloaks like frost. About a mile to the north of the town, the flattish, salt-bitten turf began to give way to woodland, thin at first, with trees sticking up here and there, solitary, with veils of white mist haunting their lower boughs or lying over the turf like pools, which now and then broke and swirled as a deer fled through. The road north was an old one, paved, and the men who had built it had cleared the trees and scrubbed back on either side for 100 paces. But with time and neglect, the open verge had grown thick with whin and heather and young trees, so that now the forest seemed to crowd round you as you rode, and the way was dark. Near the town, we had seen some 1 or 2 peasants carrying home fuel on their donkeys, and once one of Ambrosius's messengers spurred past us with a stare and what looked like a half salute to me, but in the forest we met no one. It was the silent time between the thin bird song of a March day and the hunting of the owls. When we got among the big trees, the rain had stopped and the mist was thinning. Presently we came to a crossroads where a track, unpaved this time, crossed our own at right angles. The track was one used for hauling timber out of the forest, and also by the carts of charcoal burners. And, though rough and deeply rutted, it was clear and straight, and if you kept your horse to the edge, there was a gallop. "Let's turn down here, Cattle." You know he said keep to the road. Yes, I know he did, but I don't see why. The forest's perfectly safe. This was true. It was another thing Ambrosius had done. Men were no longer afraid to ride abroad in West Britain, within striking distance of the town. The country was constantly patrolled by his companions, alert and spoiling for something to do. Indeed, the main danger was, as I had once heard him admit, that his troops would overtrain and grow stale and look rather too hard for trouble. Meanwhile, the outlaws and disaffected men stayed away, and ordinary folks went about their business in peace. Even women could travel without much of an escort. "Besides," I added, "does it matter what he said? He's not my master. He's only in charge of teaching me, nothing else. We can't possibly lose our way if we keep to the tracks, and if we don't get a counter now, it'll be too dark to press the horses when we get back to the fields. You're always complaining that I don't ride well enough. How can I when we're always trotting along the road? Please, Cadle." "Look, I'm not your master either, all right. But not far, and watch your pony. It'll be darker under the trees. Best let me go first." I put a hand to his rein. "No, I'd like to ride ahead. And would you hold back a little, please? The thing is, I have so little solitude, and it's been something I'm used to. This was one of the reasons I had to come out this way," I added carefully. "It's not that I haven't been glad of your company, but one sometimes wants time to think things out, if you'll just give me 50 paces. He reined back immediately, then he cleared his throat. "I told you I'm not your master. Go ahead, but go careful." I turned Asta into the ride, and we kicked him into a canter. He had not been out of his stable for 3 days, and in spite of the distance behind us, he was eager. He laid his ears back and picked up speed down the grass verge of the ride. Luckily, the mist had almost gone, but here and there it smoked across the track saddle high, and the horses plunged through it, fording it like water. Cadle was holding well back. I could hear the thud of the mare's hooves, like a heavy echo of my pony's canter. The small rain had stopped, and the air was fresh and cool, and resinous with the scent of pines. A woodcock flighted overhead with a sweet whispering call, and a soft tassel of spruce flicked a fistful of drops across my mouth and down inside the neck of my tunic. I shook my head and laughed, and the pony quickened his pace, scattering a pool of mist like spray. I crouched over his neck as the track narrowed, and branches whipped at us in earnest. It was darker, the sky thickened to nightfall between the boughs, and the forest rolled by in a dark cloud, wild with scent and silent, but for Auster's scudding gallop and the easy pacing of the mare. Cadle called me to stop. As I made no immediate response, the thudding of the mare's hoofs quickened and drew closer. Auster's ears flicked and then flattened again, and he began to race. I drew him in. It was easy, as the going was heavy and he was sweating. He slowed and then stood and waited quietly for Cadle to come up. The brown mare stopped. The only sound in the forest now was the breathing of the horses. "Well," he said at length, "did you get what you wanted?" "Yes, only you called too soon. We'll have to turn back if we're to be in time for supper." "Goes well, that pony. You want to ride ahead on the way back?" If I may. "I told you there's no question. You do as you like. I know you don't get out on your own, and you're young yet, and it's up to me to see you don't come to harm, that's all." "What harm could I come to? I used to go everywhere alone at home." "This isn't home. You don't know the country yet. You could lose yourself or fall off your pony and lie in the forest with a broken leg." "It's not very likely, is it? You were told to watch me. Why don't you admit it? To look after you." "It could come to the same thing. I've heard what they call you, the watchdog." He grunted. "You don't need to dress it up. Merlin's black dog. That's the way I heard it. Don't think I mind. I do as he says and no questions asked, but I'm sorry if it frets you." "It doesn't. Oh, it doesn't. I didn't mean it like that. It's all right. It's only... Cadle?" "Yes?" "Am I a hostage after all?" "That I couldn't say," said Cadle woodenly. "Come along, then. Can you get by?" Where our horses stood, the way was narrow, the center of the ride having sunk into deep mud, where water faintly reflected the night sky. Cadle reined his mare back into the thicket that edged the ride, while I forced Auster, who would not wet his feet unless compelled, past the mare. As the Browns' big quarters pressed back into the tangle of oak and chestnut, there was suddenly a crash just behind her and a breaking of twigs, and some animal burst from the undergrowth almost under the mare's belly and hurtled across the ride in front of my pony's nose. Both animals reacted violently. The mare, with a snort of fear, plunged forward hard against the rein. At the same moment, Auster shied wildly, throwing me half out of the saddle. Then the plunging mare crashed into his shoulder, and the pony staggered, whirled, lashed out, and threw me. I missed the water by inches, landing heavily on the soft stuff at the edge of the ridge, right up against a broken stump of pine, which could have hurt me badly if I had been thrown on it. As it was, I expected, with scratches and a minor bruise or two. As it was, I escaped with scratches and a minor bruise or two, and a wretched ankle that, when I rolled over and tried to put it on the ground, stabbed me with pain momentarily so acute it made the black woods swim. Even before the mare had stopped circling, Cadle was off her back, had flung the reins over a bough, and was stooping over me. "Merlin! Master Merlin, are you hurt?" I unclamped my teeth from my lip and started gingerly with both hands to straighten my leg. "No, only my ankle a bit." "Let me see. No, hold still. By the dog, Ambrosius will have my skin for this." "What was it?" "A boar, I think. Too small for a deer, too big for a fox." "I thought it was a boar. I smelled it." "My pony? Halfway home by now, I expect. Of course you had to let the rein go, didn't you?" "I'm sorry. Is it broken?" His hands had been moving over my ankle, prodding, feeling. "I don't think so. No, I'm sure it's not. You're all right. Otherwise... Here, come on. Try if you can stand on it. The mare'll take us both. And I want to get back if I can before that pony of yours goes in with an empty saddle. I'll be for the lampreys for sure, if Ambrosius sees him." "It wasn't your fault. Is he so unjust?" "He'll reckon it was, and he wouldn't be far wrong. Come on now, try it." "No, give me a moment, and don't worry about Ambrosius. The pony hasn't gone home. He's stopped a little way up the ride. You'd better go and get him." He was kneeling over me, and I could see him faintly against the sky. He turned his head to peer along the ride. Beside us, the mare stood quietly, except for her restless ears and the white edge of her eye. There was silence except for an owl starting up, and far away on the edge, the sound of another like its echo. "It's pitch dark 20 feet away," said Cadle. "I can't see a thing. Did you hear him stop?" Yes. It was a lie, but this was neither the time nor the place for the truth. "Go and get him quickly, on foot. He hasn't gone far." I saw him stare down at me for a moment. Then he got to his feet without a word and started off up the ride. As well as if it had been daylight, I could see his puzzled look. I was reminded sharply of Cedric that day at King's Fort. I leaned back against the stump. I could feel my bruises and my ankle ached. But for all that, there came flooding through me like a drink of warm wine, the feeling of excitement and release that came with the power. I knew now that I had come to this way. I knew now that I had had to come this way, that this was to be another of the hours when not darkness, nor distance, nor time meant anything. The owl floated silently above me across the ride. The mare cocked her ears at it, watching without fear. There was the thin sound of bats somewhere above. I thought of the Crystal Cave and Galapus's eyes when I told him of my vision. He had not been puzzled, not even surprised. It came to me to wonder suddenly how Delasius would look, and I knew he would not be surprised either. Hooves sounded softly in the deep turf. I saw Asta first, approaching ghostly grey, then Cadle like a shadow at his head. "He was there, all right," he said. "And for a good reason. He's dead lame. He must have strained something." "Well, at least he won't get home before we do." "There'll be trouble over this night's work, that's for sure. Whatever time we get home. Come on, then. I'll put you up on Rufa." With a hand from him, I got cautiously to my feet. When I tried to put weight on the left foot, it still hurt me quite a lot, but I knew from the feel of it that it was nothing but a wrench, and would soon be better. Cadle threw me up on the mare's back, unhooked the reins from the bow, and gave them into my hands. Then he clicked his tongue to Asta and led him slowly ahead. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Surely she can carry us both." "There's no point. You can see how lame he is. He'll have to be led. If I take him in front, he can make the pace. The mare will stay behind him." "You all right up there?" "Perfectly, thanks." The grey pony was indeed dead lame. He walked slowly beside Cadle with drooping head, moving in front of me like a smoke beacon in the dark. The mare followed quietly. It would take, I reckoned, a couple of hours to get home, even without what lay ahead. Here again was a kind of solitude, no sounds but the soft plodding of the horse's hooves, the creak of leather, the occasional small noises of the forest round us. Cadle was invisible, nothing but shadow beside the moving wraith of mist that was Asta. Perched on the big mare at a comfortable walk, I was alone with the darkness and the trees. We had gone perhaps half a mile, when, burning through the boughs of a huge oak to my right, I saw a white star steady. "Cadle, isn't there a shorter way back? I remember a track off to the south near the oak tree. The mist's cleared right away and the stars are out. Look, there's the bear." His voice came back from the darkness. "We'd best head for the road." But in a pace or two he stopped the pony at the mouth of the south-going track and waited for the mare to come up. "It looks good enough, doesn't it?" I asked. "It's straight and a lot drier than this track we're on. All we have to do is keep the bear to our backs, and in a mile or two we should be able to smell the sea. Don't you know your way about the forest?" "Well enough. It's true this would be shorter, if we can see our way. Well—" I heard him loosen his short stabbing sword from its sheath. "Not that there's likely to be trouble, but best be prepared, so keep your voice down, will you, and have your knife ready. And let me tell you one thing, young Merlin, if anything should happen, you'll ride for home and leave me to it. Got that?" "Ambrosius's orders again." "You could say that." "All right, if it makes you feel better, I promise I'll desert you at full speed, but there'll be no trouble." He grunted. "Anyone would think you knew." I laughed. Oh, I do. The starlight caught momentarily the whites of his eyes and the quick gesture of his hand. Then he turned without speaking and led Aster into the track going south. And that's the end of chapter 7.